Welcome to the Trump Breaking News Network, your daily source for up-to-the-minute Trump news. Join us today and every day. Here's today's news.
This is TBNN.
Federal judge blocks Trump's travel ban indefinitely. 2 weeks ago, President Donald Trump faced a second speed bump in his attempt to implement a travel ban when a federal court in Hawaii temporarily prevented the Trump administration from implementing its ban, which was focused on travelers from the several Muslim-majority countries. That speed bump has turned into a wall. On Wednesday, Judge Derrick Watson indefinitely extended the travel ban, citing the Establishment Clause, and ruling that irreparable injury is likely if the ban were to be implemented. Watson also pointed to Trump's own words as evidence that the administration was seeking to discriminate against a group of people based on their religion. 2 weeks ago, in Nashville, Tennessee, he called the second travel ban a watered-down version of the first one. Trump's rhetoric and 2 attempts at travel bans have caused consternation within the travel industry. As The Hill reported, Trump's new travel protocols could discourage or turn away the millions of legitimate U.S.-bound tourists who pour money into the economy every year, citing a travel industry CEO. The easy message is to say America is closed to terrorism, but we're wide open to legitimate travelers and we welcome them, said Roger Dow, president and CEO of the U.S. Travel Association. We want them. Meanwhile, a Global Business Group's executive director said that Trump's combined set of initiatives have created a strong sense of uncertainty. It creates doubts about the safety and security of traveling, and noted that billions of dollars could be lost due to the regulations. Trump also said during that Nashville rally that he would fight this terrible ruling to the Supreme Court. Now it remains to be seen whether or not the administration actually will.
That's the news. Join us here every day. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell. See you next time.
This is TBNN.